What's up, everybody? Gnosis here today, bringing you something I've been seeing quite a lot of. Content creators and people across social media and like the power scaling community tend to have like a lot of top 10s that I see. And whether it be on TikTok or Facebook or Discord or Reddit, there's a name that always seems to permeate around a lot of characters that should be in the conversation and characters that shouldn't. For example, you can have someone like, Batman or Cassandra Cain and Iron Fist and Shang-Chi and Wolverine, that's all well and fine. But then you'll have some of these animanga matchups where you'll have like Garo and Goku and stuff, right? And as far as like other DC reps, occasionally you'll see like, your Shivas and like I said, your Cassandra Cain. But then there's this other guy that seems to come up. This Karate Kid guy. And, it never ceases to puzzle me on how he manages to sometimes on these lists rank higher than like, super high tier characters from like above Marvel, like even above Batman within his own verse. And, I just don't understand like where this logic or this glaze for this character comes from, because I don't know, recently have we ever really picked up or read a Karate Kid comic in the good age of 2025, and we're still kind of like putting this guy out here like a lot of his feats aren't probably older than me, and it's kind of ridiculous how people come to this conclusion that he has apparently surpassed the main cast of DC high skill tiers and is at like the peak of the verse as far as skill goes. I don't know when he's ever reached this point or why he's even here, but I decided to like really dive deep and to try and understand like, okay, let's just take this step by step and let's just go by Batman, since he's the main bar for a lot of characters when it comes to skill within DC and where they should rank. And under my research, I don't really see why this guy should even be in the conversation of Batman, even in the past, let alone now. But yeah, dude, I gotta see like why everyone thinks this, but check it out. This is gonna be my kind of like analysis and breakdown on like why he should be nowhere near Batman in these conversations, let alone above him and above other high tier martial artists in these skill rankings of like super skilled characters. Because this kid Karate Kid is an actual like fraud, despite all the statements and glaze that he gets. Like, oh wow, he pushed back Superman and he used his momentum against him, and he used an interplanetary headlock or arm grip against Superman, and it held him for like 3 seconds. And or not even Superman, Superboy, and he's able to get out of it. Like what a high tier. Yeah, dude, it just like what I'm about to show just like actually makes that just like so much like lamer. And if anything, it just makes it inconsistent. But yeah, check it out, guys. Yeah, so like one of the Legionnaires like sends out a distress signal for like Batman as he's like in the 31st century, and he's like, attention all Legionnaires, I'm remote patching my flight ring software to so your rings can track it. So they're like actively trying to like track Batman and like stop him from advancing in the future. The whole point of like why the Legionnaires are like trying to track Batman down is because like Brainiac 5 is like telling him that the longer he lingers in like the 31st century, the more like temporal anomalies he's gonna create. And like he just spawns like a random legion of like robots just like out of nowhere. So they're like really determined to try and capture him because he can like almost like endanger their future for the most part if he just stays there. And like Batman's just basically just trying to escape. and they're like calling up every Legionnaire to try and stop Batman, or like at least try to like locate where he's at. Like multiple members, and he's like, Karate Kid, report. So like they are actively trying to stop Batman. As far as like Batman's motivations, they like realized later on that like Brainiac thought that he was trying to like escape with the weapons that they had from the 31st century, but like Saturn Girl reads Batman's mind and is like, no, like he's actually trying to save the 31st century. So like all the actions that like Batman has taken is for like the betterment, and trying to like keep these items safe and send them back home in time before like this villain from the future that gets these like MacGuffin items. So ultimately, like Batman's just not going all out, as he's like actively trying to prevent them from having their entire like future like erased or be put into danger. So for the first fight, like their first canonical like meeting, Batman is like on a mission to basically solo the entire Legion. Like he's just team busting them. And one of the Legionnaires is like in smoke, like he's trying to like distract Batman while like being unseen. Batman like hears his breathing and he hits him. And then out of nowhere, Karate Kid drops down and like kicks Batman off guard, like right in his back as Batman's like jumping. And then, this would be like explained a little later, but like Batman's like able to flip in midair away or off from like the kick in the back he just had. And then he's like, oh, well, you must be Karate Kid. And Karate Kid's like, yeah, dude, it's like it's an honor to fight you. And he's like, he's just glazing Batman the whole like fight. And he explains that like one of the martial arts that he's like experienced in is anti-gravity martial arts. And prior to this point, I don't think there's like any instance of Batman fighting in this style like without gravity, and then like instantly like Batman adapts to it and then just kicks this kid in the face, and he's like magnificent. And he grabs Batman's like arm, tries to counter, then Batman kicks him in the face, then like Karate Kid tries to flip back like bicycle kick, and he's like, I can learn much from you, as he kicking Batman away. And then Batman's like, okay, lesson 1, dodges the attack, and he's like eagerly awaited, dodges it, and then Batman just punches up, uppercut Shoryukens him, and then he blocks, and he's like, does it distract you, Batman? And he's like, no, you. And then like Batman counters again. Remember, this is the fighting style and a battlefield that he's never been in, and he's going relative to Karate Kid, like knowing that the Legionnaires are basically in danger. But Karate Kid is so entranced by Batman's skill, it's like actually like taking him off the fight. And then it gets like interrupted. He's just like, look out. But yeah, like this this whole like fight is just kind of insane. I mean, Batman didn't even really seem like he was struggling this much. He's like smack talking. He's like, lesson 1, you don't talk too much. He's either like smack talking or like actually trying to give him advice, but he's seriously not taking it like really bad. Not really fatigued, not damaged. Neither is Karate Kid, but for someone to try to off guard, you would think they would want to, try to actually get the person incapacitated or out of the fight. Failed at that. Literally anti-gravity. Fighting style he's never fought against. Still adapted. Not a definitive win for Karate Kid or necessarily Batman, but given that, Batman's not in his usual like setting 10 centuries in the future, and you got a guy that's like jumping him in a special martial arts style that only works with no gravity, and he's not able to press Batman, it's pretty not good. Not good at all. I don't think he has any advantages in this fight, as he's like at the most like going relative with a style that he like supposedly is like expert in. Yeah, I just don't think it's a real good win. Just kind of butt, honestly. And also to note, like at the end of that like little skirmish, after they get separated, Karate Kid is like, and in the confusion, he vanished before a victor could be decided. Disturbing. When next we meet, Batman will be ready for me. So he is acknowledging that the next time they fight, Batman will be prepared. So logically, that should mean that Karate Kid should, I don't know, possibly look back at the history books and try and train to possibly improve himself to, prove his actual legacy of being the future generation of heroes and surpassing the past. But we'll see though. We'll see. As Batman checks multiple databases from the League, he notices that there has no matches in the Batcave, no matches at the GCPD, no matches at the FIS, none at the Hall of Justice, but only in the Fortress of Solitude, meaning that Superman knows who this is and has data on him. Superman has Karate Kid listed as a Class 15 fighter, and Batman sees himself listed as a Class 12 fighter. Batman says he wants to prove and loves to prove Superman wrong, so he's at least motivated. Batman, during the course of the fight, stops and tries to get Trident to remember his true identity, being Val Armor. So obviously he's holding back to some extent, as otherwise he wouldn't have stopped and tried to get him to break his brainwashing from Starro and get him to come to his senses. So obviously Batman is not going all out and is not bloodlusted, displayed by his apparent caution and hesitation to the oncoming fight or ensuing fight. Starro possesses Karate Kid and makes him believe that he has the identity of Trident, or be a part of the Trident Guild. Trident was under the presumption of wanting to kill or incapacitate Parasite for stealing his powers, which can be an extremely painful process, as when Parasite drains you, a lot of your body's internal functions and organs get severely damaged in the process. So it's pretty reasonable to suggest that he wanted to severely harm or injure, more than likely not to try and kill Parasite for what he did to him, along with a lot of other supervillains, or anyone willing to get in his way. That would apply to his brainwashed motivations for this. This is even further evidence when you see that during that little excursion that they have, Karate Kid says that he gave Batman a hernia after he stole his belt. Under Starro's actual brainwashing, so to speak, it should be noted that characters in the past that have been brainwashed by him still retain their level of skill and aptitude when fighting people who they should normally be relative towards. So there shouldn't be any decrease in skill or, potency or accuracy when it comes to their attacks and their skill usage. The fight starts off with him unconscious and him and Black Lightning discussing on who and why he's here. Here, Karate Kid tries to off-guard Batman just like he did Black Adam when they weren't paying attention. But this time, Batman anticipates it casually. Batman counters and draws blood. In the countdown variant of this altercation, Karate Kid tags Batman 3 times and Batman counters and draws blood again, separately in this depiction. Batman again pauses and tries to remind Karate Kid of who he actually is and his true identity, while under the brainwashing of Starro. Batman is obviously holding back. Ultimately, both of them go relative. Most of Batman's attacks are blocking and countering Karate Kid's. But Karate Kid, during one particular hold, who either in two interpretations you can have in this, to where he flips Batman over and Batman lands, or Batman himself jumps to try and get out of the hold and he lands. Either way, it's not a advantageous move for Karate Kid to have, and either way, as he doesn't follow up on this, and the only thing he manages to prove is that he has Batman's belt, which doesn't really mean much. And if you do, you're implying that Batman is somehow going to be weakened at the fact that he can't utilize anything without his belt or use any of his moves, which is a ridiculous argument. Okay, so first we know Bruce definitely was holding back some amount because he was trying to make him break the mind control that he was under and not trying to beat him one-on-one, with that being his only goal. Now, Karate Kid, we know he definitely was trying to take out Bruce, whether bloodlusted or not, bare minimum, try to still knock him out under mind control. That is a full attention Karate Kid. Bruce was able to block on top of off guard attempts being used by KK that failed, being stopped dead by Bruce. There's genuinely not much for Karate Kid in either showing to argue for him exactly being above or close, because he's just fighting a holding back Batman who could consistently counter him. Like, let's just sit and think about this for a second. Superman, who spent his whole childhood with the Legion as a teenager, and later in his adult years meets Batman. He believes Karate Kid is superior to Batman in skill, and Batman, while holding back, counters like 70% of Karate Kid's attacks. And we just go to show that he just proved Clark wrong, which was his intention. Also, when you look at both depictions between Countdown and Justice League of America, Batman is drawing blood more in both depictions. The most damage a determined Karate Kid can manage to do is to the suit, and steal the belt. Batman in the Countdown depiction of this fight isn't even severely wounded or drawing blood at all. He's not even bruised. In the Justice League portion of this fight, for the moment where Karate Kid boasts he has the belt, it looks like he has a black eye. And again, can you really justify an argument for Karate Kid being relative to Bruce, knowing he's holding back by just stealing his belt? Another thing, if you really want to look at the battlefield awareness that both fighters display during this fight, the IQ and knowing that, well, I knocked out Black Lightning, so he's obviously going to stay incapacitated for the rest of the fight. And you fight Batman, but Batman's able to be aware enough to where he knows that if he shifts his stance, he's going to be out of Black Lightning's way to shock you if he was a neutral party. And the fact that Batman noticed this and Karate Kid didn't also doesn't go in his favor. I genuinely cannot understand how you guys view this as a victory for Karate Kid. In what way did he show superiority over Batman? Because if you're gonna say tagging him a couple times is impressive, then Harley Quinn has to be one of the best fighters in DC's history. Same with Bane, same with Joker, any other Batman's rogues gallery. And keep in mind, this is their second canonical fight, meaning that he's at least aware of what Batman's style is, since he's read about it from the future and has actually fought the man himself. Meaning that Karate Kid had time to train and improve during the pre-countdown, pre-0 hour to post-pre-countdown, post-0 hour time period to improve his skills and learn from what him and Batman's last fight was. Not saying he necessarily did, but at least he has the knowledge gap and the time to improve from being from the future compared to someone who is 10 centuries in the past. He even calls Batman's skills legendary, almost mythical or like a fable, and he still does not have a definitive win over Batman despite the intelligence gap, at least battle-wise. And again, Batman doesn't have the knowledge of Karate Kid being from the 31st century. He knows some foreign or alien fighting styles, sure, but he never took a crash course in 31st century martial arts. And somehow Karate Kid has yet to provide a single solitary definitive win. It's not age, it's not experience, it's not motivation. I genuinely don't know why he hasn't done it, or why you guys even see it as a victory. The point is, overall, Karate Kid has every type of advantage in this type of scenario over Batman, including people who know him, like Superman, who somehow believe that he's above him. And Batman is still able to have the advantages in both fights. And that is including the off-guard attacks that Karate Kid is like notorious for. We'll get into that a little later on. And also, just to note, even if this all weren't the case and it was all yap, this is something from almost 2 decades ago that we're still for some reason bringing up as if it's anywhere near relevant.
What about the commentary for Black Lightning and Superman? Clark has him listed above in the Fortress of Solitude for skill ranking for a reason. And also, Black Lightning, once he observes the fight, says that Superman was wrong. He looks like a 25 instead of a 15.
Honestly, we really shouldn't put much word into Superman's thought overall. We only know of one instance when Karate Kid was able to restrain someone of a Superman caliber or Kryptonian tier level opponent. And, you know, that was during the fight in the Legion of Superheroes when he fought this, like, Superboy clone. These exact duplicates of them. And, that's possibly, like, the only reason. And, like, Clark got word of that and was just like, oh, you did that? Okay, that's pretty impressive. I've never seen Batman, you know, restrain, like, a Kryptonian tier opponent with just a martial arts or a hold. So that's most likely the most in-canon reason to place him higher. But considering he didn't do that against Supergirl, he didn't do any type of technique against Supergirl, he got folded. I don't know if Superman's word is like the best. I know he has some martial experience, but I mean, come on, guys. And as far as Black Lightning, Black Lightning is the guy that like literally had to get trained by Batman to be a part of the Outsiders, and like is still currently training with like Katana to still like be somewhat on par. Not to say he's a novice, but it's like come on, like Black Lightning's like not even like Jason Todd level. Come on, guys, like it's just an onlooker's observation. Even if you do want to give him that, we see how Batman deals with someone who can do that to Kryptonians while holding back. Like, do I have to reiterate myself again? I don't know about this one. This one, I feel like it's a pretty clear case that I've presented here. I want to see if there is any Karate Kid cope in the comment section, or little chatters or murmurs of, well, he's not being thorough enough and he needs to look at all the stuff he did to other characters. This is like specifically towards like top tier comparisons with high tiers of skill within DC. This kid doesn't cut it, and frankly, he never has. But yeah, that's kind of the end of it. I want to see what you all think though, especially the copers. I really want to see what they have to say. All right, y'all. Deuces.